Greetings, folks. Today is February 23rd, 2019. It's a Saturday night, soon to be Sunday morning. And the reason I'm doing this episode of Truth Matters today, I said something in the last episode about the economy. And I talked about how your money will eventually be worthless. Well, I thought I needed to explain that. Actually, your money is already worthless. I'm not an economist. I will not claim ever to be an economist or an economy expert. That's why I listen to what other people are saying. I listen to what Ron Paul says. I listen to what is written in Forbes magazine, and I read it. I listen to other economic experts and what they are saying. Now, they're basically saying we're heading in the same direction, but we're going to the same place, but they have different directions and different timetables and so forth and so forth. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of timetables, except that I would probably say not more than 20 years. Okay? After 20 years, we will not have a worthy money. Our currency will be totally devalued. Now, I guess that needs to be explained. Your money is basically worth the paper it's made on. Now, how is it that you can spend it? Alright? It's what the market is able to bear. Let's say I have a product, and I'm asking you for 5 pieces of paper for that product. Now, those pieces of paper become valued at whatever I say I want for that piece of product. So you give me these 5 pieces of paper for this product that I am now saying is worth those 5 pieces of paper. You got it? That is exactly what's going on with our economy. If gas is at $5 a gallon, that's because that is what the market wants for it. And that, of course, will fluctuate. Now, did you ever hear of fractional banking or fractional lending? What if you come to me and ask to borrow $100? I give you a fraction of that $100. Let's say I give you 10%. That's $10. But you sign a note. You know what a note is? A note is saying, it's basically an IOU. Okay? So you sign a note that says you owe me $100, even though I've only given you 10. That's called fractional lending. And this is what our government has been doing with the Federal Reserve. Do you notice the words Federal Reserve note on your money? It's because our government borrowed that money in a fractional sense from the Federal Reserve. So, your money is not yours. Your money belongs to the Federal Reserve. And everything you buy, you are buying with borrowed money. Even when you pay off your mortgage, that house is not yours. It belongs to the Federal Reserve. Okay, so now, in this scenario, when the government doesn't pay off their debts, And the debts go beyond our assets. Now, what are our assets? Your house, your car, everything you own that you pay with Federal Reserve notes belongs to the government. That's right. It doesn't belong to you because you paid for it with borrowed money. So not only did you borrow the money, it was already borrowed money when you borrowed it. So now you paid everything off, you paid your mortgage off, you paid your car off, you paid everything off, but it still doesn't belong to you because it was paid for by borrowed money. I hope you can understand that. I really do. Now, what about the market? Our dollar is connected to the market. Well, the market is also connected to the Federal Reserve. Do you know how? It's called quantitative easing. Basically, the Federal Reserve continually props up the stock market, makes you believe that the stock market is going up, when in reality, it's not. They are propping it up. Why? Because the market determines what your money is worth. And so if the market would ever go away, if the market would ever have a crash, if we ever entered a Great Depression like in 1729, your money will be worthless. It's already worthless, really. It's already worth the paper. But when the market goes away, your money will go away too. In 1929, there was a big difference between then and now. And this is how the economy was able to come back. At least partly. First of all, most of the people in this country weren't wealthy. There's a few people that lost everything because they were wealthy. And some of them killed themselves. Can you imagine what it's going to be like? I mean, come on. If Donald Trump has American money, his money will be worthless. So you would think he'd want to fix this problem, but he's not. Which tells me he's a puppet of the Federal Reserve. All right? What these people are trying to do is work on a global currency. So when our currency crashes, when our currency is totally worthless, they can come in and rescue the day and say, hey, we got a suggestion, a global currency. And so we're going to have a global currency someday. This is what they're working on, folks. This is what the globalists are working for, and don't you dare think that Donald Trump is not one of them. He understands what's going on because he's part of it. So one of these days, because we don't have anybody in Congress or in the White House or in the Supreme Court or anywhere else in this country that's in politics that want to fix this. They are puppets doing what they're supposed to do to destroy the economy of the United States and take it over completely. That is what's happening, folks. It's, like I said, your money is already worthless because it's borrowed money. You don't own a thing. When our debt surpasses our assets, that means your house, your car, they are all assets of the United States of America. They are not yours. When our debt surpasses those assets, and it's like, I think our assets are something like $330 trillion totally. So when our debt gets to that point, and by the way, we're about a third of the way there. You know, the national debt that you often hear about is not our only debt. You know, our debt is probably over $100 trillion by now. Our total debt, and when that debt surpasses our assets, and they can go to the world court and repossess everything. They can take your house. They can take your car. They can take your guns. They can take everything you own because you don't own them. They do. That's what's coming, folks. And I'm thinking, you know, this is why I'm thinking about 20 years. Of course, if we get somebody like Bernie Sanders or one of these Democrats that want to spend out of the wazoo, it's going to be quicker. Once our debt, all of our debt, not just the national debt, not just that which we, you know, hear about, but our debt is closer to $100 trillion, and when it gets to $300 trillion or $330 trillion or whatever the debt really is now, when that debt gets to that point, when our assets cannot cover the debt, the Federal Reserve, the International Monetary Fund, can go to court and repossess everything we have. That includes your house, your car, everything. I hope you can understand what I just said. It took a while for me to understand it. But I think I understand it pretty good right now. And if you don't believe me, look it up. You know, look up fractional banking. Look up fractional lending. You know, look up the fact that we borrowed all this money from who knows where all. Our government, taxes cannot cover our debt. The only thing we can do is get rid of the taxes. Anyway, and what we need to get back on the gold and silver standard. That is so important if we ever want to survive. We've got to get back on the gold and silver standard. That we absolutely must. Because if we don't, our worthless money is going to crash and you won't be able to buy a damn thing. Penny candy won't be a penny anymore. You might have to pay $100 for penny candy. Of course, you probably have to pay a nickel now. That's where we're headed, folks. And do you know what's going to happen when our money crashes and it's no longer worth anything? It's no longer accepted as payment for anything? You know what's going to happen? We're going to see bloodshed. We are going to see rioting like it's nobody's business. You wonder why we have camps? Do you know what FEMA camps are? If you get too upset over what they do to you, guess what? They're going to put you in a FEMA camp. They might feed you. They might not. I'm telling you, folks, this is what's coming. And if you don't believe me, you're going to... Well, you know, depending if you're my age, you don't have to worry too much about this. But your grandchildren, your children, and your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren, they're going to have a very hard time if we don't do something about it. And what do we have to do? Get Republicans and Democrats out of office so somebody can go in there and fix the problem. That's what we have to do. And all we need is for America to wake up and understand this. The truth of the matter is our money is basically worthless now. It is only worth anything, it only has value because of what the market will bear. And you don't have to believe me. Look it up. Go to Google and look up everything. And go. There are videos of Ron Paul and his Liberty Report on YouTube. Go listen to them when he talks about the economy. Anyway. So, well, that's Truth Matters today again. And by the way, it is now Sunday morning. Thank you for listening.